My hobbies are killing children and denying aid to the Palestinians, which are not real. It's like here's a news report from inside of Israel. Here's the most evil woman you have ever seen in your whole life. Okay. Hello. Welcome to, I don't know, insert whatever broadcast. Today, we're talking to Adolf Hitler, but a woman. Okay. Adolf Hitler reincarnated as a Jewish woman. This Israeli mother has made it her mission to block aid to starving babies in Gaza. It's so fucking nutty, dude. Listen, America is a very racist country. This is true. But there is a level of racism that the average American racist considers to be a bridge too far. Okay? Like if someone is a Klan's robe wearing motherfucker, okay, and in broad daylight is just like doing like this, is going around being like, let's go lynch black people, and they refer to black people as like the N-word with a hard R. Even most American racists will look at that and be like, that's a little bit fucked up, I think.
Activists in Israel are radical groups like Zeteo, led by Rayut Benheim.
God forbid a girl have a hobby, yeah.
Today they're trying to block vital food aid getting to Gaza. She's sharing her message to her online followers.
עוד כמה שעות, מחבלים, חמושים, הולכים לטפס על המשאיות האלה ולחגוג. הם לא דורכים על המשאיות, הם דורכים על הכבוד של עם ישראל, הם דורכים עלינו.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying nothing, okay? I'm not, because God forbid. I can laugh, though. Am I allowed to laugh? I think I'm allowed to laugh.
מאיפה לארגון הטרור הקטן והקיקיוני הזה יש יכולת להמשיך לפגוע בנו? מאיפה? כי אנחנו מזינים אותם.
They're on their way to Nitzana, one of 3 aid entry points into Gaza that remain open. According to one Israeli think tank, 2/3 of Jewish Israelis oppose the transfer of humanitarian aid to Gaza residents. What I can't understand is how a mother of 8 is trying to block food to starving children in Gaza.
Okay.
How's your baby doing?
It's hard, but I can...
Oh, poor lady, poor woman. It's hard. Okay, don't make your baby participate in war crimes, dude. You fucking freak. You absolute monstrous freak piece of shit. I can't wait for someone to clip this and be like, Hasan is being quite anti-Semitic to Adolfine Hitler, okay? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, God forbid that women have hobbies, huh? My hobbies are Hamas. My hobbies are killing children and denying aid to the Palestinians, which are not real. She from New Jersey, bro, lol. Oh, God. Oh, brother. No politique here. No politique. We are denying the aid from going into Hamas terror children. Khalel, no.
Are you not concerned, Rayut, that by blocking the aid going to Gaza, a lot of Palestinians...
Yeah, never forget when I said the fucking rabid Jewish KKK settlers that were literally destroying aid. I called them inbred supremacist psychopaths, okay? And Ethan Klein turned around and said, they could be doing anything. They look like pleasant young gentlemen that are actually carrying aid into the Gaza Strip, as a matter of fact. Clown.
So we're already suffering and starving.
It's a wrong question, okay? Because the aid gets to Hamas. The aid goes to Hamas.
We hit a roadblock with the border police. There's blurred lines between Rayut and those there to enforce the law. But Mum is still on her mission to to get to the border. Since the beginning of the onslaught in Gaza, the delivery of food has been weaponized. In March of this year, UN experts called out Israel's imposed starvation. The first item of the ICC arrest request says Prime Minister Netanyahu and his defense minister bear criminal responsibility for the starvation of civilians in Gaza. Hunger, terror, death. There's no respite for the Palestinians. I return to the activists blocking the aid. It seems the echo chamber between the Israeli mainstream media and social media is encouraging this kind of direct action. Rayut and her team have reached the crossing point into Gaza.
Israeli police is Hamas. They are not letting our babies of terror deny humanitarian aid to Hamas.
Rayut's live stream continues at the border fence. As she tends to her baby, I meet another activist from the group.
So have you managed to block the gate now?
Yeah, the gate is closed, as you can see here. We closed it, and the gate will remain closed until they evacuate us if they manage to.
The aid is being blocked. People are
Like, if they were real ones, they beat the out of these people, okay? I've seen Israeli police and the Israeli military beat the fuck out of protesters. It's just protesters that were protesting against the administration's actions. So why don't they do that to these motherfuckers? Oh, our hands are tied. But ultimately, this is performative.
starving, and Israel's
Like, if you want to see how the Israeli police force actually fucking works, watch them in Jerusalem against the tiny margin of anti-Zionist Orthodox Jews that live there. Okay? They do not hold back when they are dealing with the anti-Zionist Orthodox Jewish community in fucking Jerusalem. They beat the fucking living doors off of those dudes, okay? Straight up. Straight the fuck up. There are obviously a lot of Orthodox Jews that are super pro-occupation, but there are still a tiny sliver of Orthodox Jews that are anti-Zionist. And they do not hold back on those motherfuckers, let me tell you, okay? Definitely different than these people here.
responsible for that.
The ones who are responsible is Hamas. They are the legitimate government of Gaza.
Bitch, you're literally denying aid right now. What do you mean? The ones who are responsible is Hamas. It's like, okay, well, you're the one who's literally fucking denying aid into the strip. You are denying, currently, you are in the process of denying aid to stop starving children from getting aid, okay? Stopping children from getting food. They are starving. It is not Hamas. You are so much worse than Hamas ever could be, okay? Hamas is literally the most moral force in comparison to you.
They need to take responsibility. We are at war. It is a war. And I want Israel to win that war, and we need to put pressure on Hamas. And this is the right and the most efficient way to do so.
That's how you know this is a fascist society, by the way. When you got a marketing manager looking ass person like this saying these kinds of like Hitlerian things, that's how you know it's like it's over. Like the wonderful grandmas that you hear on like man on the street interviews in Israeli streets, and they're like, oh, I would never let a children die except for Hamas. You know, and you're like, oh, okay, you're a freak. It's over. It's over.
For the Sevesa group, their blocking is a success. No aid trucks got through that day. In the ensuing weeks, local media identifies some activists from the group ransacking aid trucks. Individuals within the Israeli forces reportedly tipped them off about where to target.
Wow. Wow. What? You mean to tell me there's direct collaboration between the Israeli security forces and the fucking rabid settler terrorists. I'm so shocked. What? 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 No. No. Khalil, no. Fork found in the kitchen? Stop. Tell me it's not like that.
Young settlers also stepped in, beating up drivers, looting aid, and even torching trucks heading to Gaza. The extremism reflected in these activists, both online and in the mainstream media, is coming from the top, from the Prime Minister himself, calling up biblical references of brutal retaliation.
When you see these kinds of images and you go, this is a depraved sick society, okay, which is understandable. Everybody with a conscience says that, right? Recognizes it as such. But when you see stuff like this, and you go, whoa, 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 dude, chill. You're being anti-Semitic. This is about Jews. This is like about Judaism. You're criticizing Jews and Judaism. It's like, no, you're making that connection. It's a false connection that you yourself are jumping on. I think that is unimaginably anti-Semitic. To look at these sociopaths and these actions, these horrible actions, a stain on mankind, a stain on humanity, and you go, nope, that's Jews, man. That's all Jews. Like, what are you, Nick Fuentes? What do you mean? What do you mean you have to defend this because Jews want this? You're a fucking psycho. You're wrong. Not only are you wrong, but you are also deeply anti-Semitic, and it doesn't fucking matter. It does not matter whether or not the person saying that is of Jewish descent themselves or Christian. It is undeniably anti-Semitic.
The New York Times reports Gazans are dying of starvation. And, quote, here is the headline, guys. After 21 months of devastating conflict with Israel, Gaza's most vulnerable civilians, the young, the old, and the sick, are facing what aid groups say is impending famine. And as you mentioned off the top, this photo of an 18-month-old.
Like, this is the worst. This is the worst counter I have ever seen, brother. I'm sorry. This is straightforward Nazi Holocaust denial while the Holocaust is happening, to just be like, hey, by the way, just so you know, this starving child also has a genetic condition. Like, that's not the defense you think it is, man. Like, why is the kid starving but the adults look healthy and well-fed? What a disgrace, New York Times. We need to talk about how Hamas is stealing aid from Palestinians. If Chamas can afford missiles and Gaza can afford food, okay, well, you know, their audience has gotten the talking points, I guess. Finally, we encountered a group of stupids that are on board with this propaganda.
Drawn attention now, the New York Times updating its piece with an editor's note, saying the child, while suffering from severe malnutrition, also had, quote, a pre-existing health.
I don't even care if the malnutrition, which according to the mother, the malnutrition is what caused the condition, right? But even if that wasn't the case, like, what? This is not an appropriate counter narrative. You can't just be like, oh yeah, no, starvation is happening, but also we are starving not just healthy children, we're starving children with like genetic disabilities. It's fucking insane. Who is this for?
Health problems. A statement on the Times PR handle on X says, quote, we recently ran a story about Gaza's most vulnerable civilians, including Mohammed Zakaria al-Muktawak, who is about 18 months old and suffers from severe malnutrition. We have since learned new information, including from the hospital that treated him and his medical.
Like, this is a don't believe your lying eyes moment, but also at the same time, I don't think it's going to work. You know what I mean? They're trying, but it's not working, because who the fuck would look at this and go, yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, I think that child is starving, but also had a genetic condition, so I guess it's appropriate for that child to die. It's not working. It's not working. It's
records
fucking
and have
insane.
Updated our story to add context about his pre-existing health problems. This additional detail gives readers a greater understanding of his situation. Our reporters and
my fucking mom and dad believe this shit. I'm sorry to report this, but if your mom and dad quote unquote believe this shit, they already were looking for anything to point to. It's up to you to be like, dude, people have come to me with this as a defense as well. New York Times, we didn't disclose that the starving child we depicted who was born in a besieged concentration camp had health complications. To atone for this act of anti-Semitism, we've been donating $500 billion to the ADL and putting every Israeli flag in our office at half-mast. Just ask your parents to be like, okay, the kid's still starving. Let's say he also had a precondition. He's still starving. Don't you think it's fucked up that Israel is starving this child? Yeah, it's like cops shot a 5-year-old, but the kid was autistic, and we didn't actually reveal that the child was autistic beforehand. Okay, that didn't make it better. It made it worse. Usually, when you do a counter-narrative campaign, it's supposed to kind of like make the situation look better for you, not worse. Oh, you people will feel real stupid when you find out that the kid also had cancer. The kid that we were starving also had fucking cancer. Ha! It's like, okay, so you're literally starving a cancer child. How is that fucking in any way, shape, or form supposed to defend your position? It didn't make the position better. It made it worse. What do you mean? It's not like food is the only thing that Israel's denying. Israel's denying medicine too. Israel blew up every fucking hospital. What are we talking about? Here, let's listen to Bernie Sanders' words
what is
as
being
well.
labeled the worst case scenario of famine unfolding in Gaza. That's a dire warning that we are getting from a food security agency that is backed by the United Nations. And that group says that more than 20,000 kids were admitted for treatment for acute malnutrition between April and mid-July. More than 3,000 of them were severely malnourished. And images like these show the staggering human toll that we are watching play out. One child seen shoveling as much flour as he could off of an aid truck into his own T-shirt as he turned into a makeshift bowl to carry that flour. The president today acknowledged what he and the world have been watching.
I think everybody, unless they're pretty cold-hearted or worse than that, nuts, there's nothing you can say other than it's terrible when you see the kids. And those are kids, whether they talk starvation or not, those are kids that are starving. They are starving. And you see the mothers, they love them so much. And there's just nothing they seem to be able to do. They got to get them food, and we're going to get them food.
Yeah, if only we could find out who's doing this, who's allowing this. I don't know, man. Am I the... What? You mean to tell me I'm the president of the United States of America that is single-handedly responsible for Israel's genocide? The only country more responsible, or if not just as responsible for Israel's genocide? One phone call, chat. Do not forget. Literally one phone call. Boop. Pull up the phone. Say it's over. It's done. One single phone call. That, I think, makes the situation so much worse. And every single person that acted as though that was not the case is a fucking liar. Because if it's not one phone call and Israel doesn't listen, then you deny weapons transfers. And if Israel still doesn't listen and says, okay, we can get weapons elsewhere, then it's sanctions. And if Israel still says, oh, well, we'll get weapons elsewhere and we'll do trade with another country, which, by the way, who the fuck are they going to do trade with at this point and in that predicament, then you fucking invade, okay? Israel knows this, which is why it's just one phone call. It doesn't have to go beyond that.
The situation, of course, that the president is talking about did not happen overnight. Israel cut off all aid to Gaza back in March, saying without evidence that Hamas was stealing all of it, according to a U.S. government review. But when that blockade was partially lifted in May, Israel started relying on a U.S.-backed aid group, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Since then, the United Nations says more than 1,000 people have been killed by Israeli forces while trying to get food. In the face of growing pressure, Israel has started allowing more aid to trickle in over the weekend, but aid groups have said it is not nearly enough. And Senator, when you hear the Israeli Prime Minister saying there's no starvation happening in Gaza, what, do you believe he's lying?
Of course he's lying. He is a disgusting liar. Israel had a right to defend itself from the terrible Hamas attack. But I think everybody understands that in the last 2.5 years, they've been waging
Bernard,
a
shut
brutal,
up.
horrific,
Stop.
almost
That's
unprecedented.
definitely getting clip chimped. Oh no, I'm going to be clip chimped where I said if Israel refuses to abide by American sanctions, then they'll get fucking invaded militarily. Really? Oh no. What will I do? I guess I'm being so anti-Semitic for saying that the solution to Israel's genocide literally requires one phone call. And if the phone call doesn't work, denying weapons transfers. If denying weapons transfers doesn't work, then sanctions package. And if the sanctions package doesn't work, then you fucking invade Israel militarily. This is just how it works, okay, for every country, but especially important for our allies that require a steady flow of shipment. You can clip it, you can ship it, you can send it to your mama, you can send it to your fucking daddy, okay? For those who said for months, Hasan, you're a terrorist, you're a terrorist, you're a terrorist, you're an anti-Semite, you're an anti-Semite, you're an anti-Semite, you're an anti-Semite, a lot of those motherfuckers are quiet now because they know I was right. So if they're still desperately looking for another thing to fucking hold on to try to demand my deplatforming, okay, I'll continue doing what I'm doing, and then I'll see you in the next 3 to 4 months, okay?
Type of war, not just against Hamas, but against the Palestinian people. So you got an area, territory there of 2.2 million people. They have already killed 60,000. They have injured 140,000, most of whom
Marcus Trump owns
women,
you.
children, and the elderly. They have virtually completely destroyed the entire infrastructure of Gaza, virtually all of the schools, the healthcare system, over 70% of the housing, the water system, and now, as you mentioned, over the last period of time, they have prevented humanitarian aid coming in, and there is now mass malnutrition, and children are starving to death. And tomorrow, I will be offering a joint resolution of disapproval to basically say, we cannot continue to provide military aid to the extremist, racist Netanyahu government that is starving the children of Gaza.
And when you try to force the Senate you're trying to force them to block the sale of weapons to Israel as a result of what you're seeing play out. Do you expect to get more support from Democrats?
I don't know. We will see. I think there is...
Because of the images we're seeing?
Look, there are a lot of dynamics. And by the way, that takes us to another crisis that goes beyond Gaza, and that is a corrupt campaign finance system. So you have a super PAC called AIPAC that spends hundreds of millions of dollars trying to defend the Netanyahu government. And if you vote for a Sanders resolution or you stand up in other ways in opposition to Netanyahu, they're prepared to fund a whole lot of money against you. But I think the time is now when members of the Senate have got to start listening to their constituents back home. And the American people do not want to spend billions and billions of dollars supporting this horrific war.
What about with the White House? I mean, President Trump is saying that he's seen this, that the First Lady Melania Trump has seen these images. He's saying there is starvation there. You can't fake that. But when he was asked about nude...
Yeah, dude, this is the... I saw the Jordan Weissman take. Jordan Weissman, as Dems converge on agreement that Israel has been committing an atrocity, I do think there needs to be some reckoning among moderates, that while lots of ugly anti-Semitism burst from the left after October 7, the leftists were fundamentally more right about this war, about what this war would become. Then this person responds and says, did centrist Democrats not say up front that we needed a ceasefire ASAP? I feel like I did not remotely exclusively hear this from the left. What a way to fucking massage the narrative. Yeah. Karine Jean-Pierre called calls for a ceasefire repugnant. Okay? ASAP? Get the fuck out of here. And also, even this is wishy-washy bullshit. Oh, ugly anti-Semitism burst from the left. The ugly anti-Semitism from the left was hurting people's feelings because we correctly said Israel's an apartheid state that is doing a genocide. Okay? Yeah, comical that centrist writers are writing off early leftist warnings of Israeli genocide as the boy who cried wolf, when our analysis was based on an analysis of Zionist political intentions that proved completely accurate. You guys were only right because your analysis of people perpetuating this war just so happened to line up with what they ended up doing. Yes, that is the point of analysis. You probably forgot it while you were wrong about everything for 20 years. It is fucking insane. Benjamin Netanyahu said Amalek literally the day after. Yoav Gallant, 2 days after, said, we're fighting human animals. We have to shut off their food, their electricity, their water. Oh, wow. It takes a special breed of future seer to literally listen to what the Israeli state members were saying about what kind of war effort that they were going to conduct. Oh, wow. Yeah, there it is. During an October 10th briefing, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who is uniquely bad at her job, literally called a ceasefire, progressive Congress members who call for a ceasefire in the Middle East, disgraceful and repugnant. They're trying to fucking launder their reputation. It's like, dude, delete your fucking tweets first. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Except you can't delete this shit. It's so fucking stupid. Matt Iglesias, another demon. I'm just deeply reluctant to credit the critics for being right, in air quotes, about this. They at every turn took concrete political actions that made the worst case outcomes more rather than less likely. Matt Iglesias is deeply reluctant to credit those of us who understood on day one that Israel was waging a war of extermination as right. It's so fucking funny that these dipshits are trying to do the, oh, well, I guess we were wrong about the Iraq war while it's fucking literally happening and everyone can see it as being fraudulent. Dude, you have to wait. You have to wait like a couple years before you fucking whitewash and launder your reputation. It's still going on. Who believes this? The appropriate thing to say is, and here is God's honest truth, the appropriate thing to say in this circumstance is, we were wrong, the left was right. A critical examination of why we were wrong and the left was right is necessary so that we don't repeat this mistake again. They won't do it because they're in power.